Welcome friends to a review of the 2025 Mazda 3 Hatchback. This is the fully loaded Turbo Premium Plus model, and for this latest model year we have some subtle new updates to talk about. They are now giving us available Amazon Alexa to use as your voice command system, and you can also get navigation that's able to update over the air, and that's pretty much it. Those are your two main updates. But stay tuned until the end of this video, where I'm going to share with you how you can get 10% off the MSRP of a 2024 Mazda 3. But for right now, let's just get right into my driving impressions, because this is my 7th time driving the Mazda 3, and every time I've gotten into this car, it's always been an excellent experience. So let's talk about why that is. Well, the Mazda 3 has always transcended above the compact economy car segment. It genuinely feels Audi-esque, and that's a big praise for a car that's in this price bracket. Sure, this top-of-the-line turbo model that I'm checking out, it is about $38,000, but you can get a sport model, naturally aspirated Mazda 3 for about 27 grand. The sedans are a bit cheaper as well, and if you want to splurge, you can look into the carbon models. But keep in mind, if you want to get the excellent 12-speaker Bose audio system, you do have to get the premium models. But let's address what makes this car so special for its class. It's just all of your inputs, right? Everything from your steering rack to this drivetrain. You just feel the quality oozing through. For instance, this steering rack, this is genuinely something that you would find in a luxury car. It's giving you that type of a feeling. And then there's the drivetrain. We have the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder and the turbo engine that I'm checking out here. Both engines, they are some of the quietest, smoothest, and the most refined sounding 4-cylinders that you're going to find in its class and beyond. It doesn't have like this rattly, tinny sound. Yeah, that's a very good sounding 4-cylinder. We still have the 6-speed automatic transmission, which is smooth, seamless, no issues. But if you want the 6-speed manual, Mazda still offers that in 2025. It's only available with the top-of-the-line hatchback, so you can have fun trying to hunt that down if you're interested. But the 6-speed auto, it's a perfect combination with either the turbo or the naturally aspirated engines, no issues. And because this Mazda 3 is the smallest and most lightweight vehicle that utilizes this turbo engine, it's really effective here. It's genuinely a quick car for sure. It does 0 to 60 in about 5.5 seconds, but it's a refined power delivery. This is not a hot hatchback. I have to keep emphasizing this over and over. This is like a luxury hatch. So no, this is not like an alternative to the Civic Type Rs or the Corolla GRs and the Golf Rs. No, this is a dignified, smooth cruiser. That's what this is. But it's a very effective one. It just zips along on the road, on the highway without any issues. The turbo does produce 250 horsepower, 320 pounds-feet of torque, but that's on 93 premium fuel. If you use regular fuel, the power drops to 227 horsepower and 310 pounds-feet of torque. Fuel economy numbers, you're going to get 23 in the city and 31 out on the highway with this turbo. But depending on how you drive, you might not even be able to meet those numbers. So yeah, fuel economy, that is a bit painful with these cars. That's a con, but that's why for most families, those who are more budget-minded, I would definitely recommend getting the naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, although the con with the NA 4-cylinder is it does have cylinder deactivation. So both engines, they have their issues. You know, it's either you deal with this turbo or you deal with the cylinder deactivation. Either way, I guess you could just pay to extend the warranty with these cars, because they are more affordable Japanese cars. Extending the warranty probably won't cost that much money, so that's something for you to look into. It's putting the power down pretty well. No issues. You do get the all-wheel drive as standard with the turbo and the carbon models. Once again, this is a capable car, make no mistake. Your everyday handling, your stability at high speeds, all of this is excellent with this car. Once again, it's just not that heart racing experience that you would typically expect out of a hot hatch. It's not that type of a car. It is a special car, no doubt about that. And it's hitting way above its weight class. And how's the ride quality? It's good, it's smooth. A lot of people, they complain about the torsion beam, rear suspension. However, they simply just read the spec sheet. But they don't realize that this is one of the best tuned and calibrated torsion beam rear suspensions that you can get. In fact, this feels just as good, if not better, than some multi-link rear suspension vehicles. So reading a spec sheet is one thing. The performance is really all that matters. Is it riding good? Is it handling well? If it's doing both of those two things, it really doesn't matter how the manufacturer gets to those results. As long as it's producing the results, that's all I care about. And the ride quality, it never feels choppy. It's just communicating with you what kind of a road surface you're traveling over. So some small subtle bumps, you can feel that coming through the bottom of the vehicle, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The car is never jarring and it never gets old to drive, so that's good. Plus, this car is reasonably quiet as well for the class. The only car to really rival this in terms of quietness would be a top-of-the-line Civic, but as an overall package, this is the more luxurious driving experience. But what are some of the cons? Well, I already told you about the fuel economy. That's not exactly the best with the turbo engine. That's why I definitely recommend to most families go with the naturally aspirated. That's certainly going to give you much better real-world fuel economy. Now, the other con is going to be, well, when you go with this hatchback model, you do have a pretty big blind spot with that C-pillar. However, the side mirrors do help out a lot, so that's good. But other than that, I have no real qualms with this vehicle. The way this car drives, it hasn't really changed over the last 7 model years that I've driven this car. And before we get into the interior segment, I guess I can just talk about the way this car looks from the outside. I'm personally a big fan of the exterior looks, especially the hatchback. I know this sedan does cost a bit less money, and once again, that's probably the smarter buy, but sometimes cars, they just become an emotional purchase as well. And this hatchback, it just delivers a more exotic look, in my opinion. Again, some people might not like the way this car looks. They might think it's a weird egg-shaped car. But then again, there are some people on the internet, they have nothing good to say about anything, so there's that. But what I can tell you is, in the real world, driving this car for a week, and every time I've had a hatchback to test, I always get a lot of attention out on the road. There's a lot of people checking this car out, and that's primarily because the hatch is pretty rare to find. Most Mazda 3s that you see out on the road, they are going to be sedans, and I can understand it does cost less money. But this color combination, it's absolutely phenomenal. The polymetal gray on the outside and the classy red interior on the inside. Really appreciate this combination. So in the real world, this is a design that many people seem to appreciate, but leave your thoughts below in the comment section. Most importantly though, the car is great to drive. However, there are some other cons to keep in mind regarding this car, and I'm going to be covering more of that in the interior segment now. Okay, now that we are stopped, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior space. So it hasn't really changed much over the years, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. This continues to be a classy and ergonomic interior to spend time in. We have the physical buttons and switches for the HVAC. Gotta love that. Mazda does it the best. And we have heated seats and a heated steering wheel, but no cooled seats. So if that's important to you, well, there you go. But the seats themselves, they continue to be very comfortable, and I like this red color because it's more of a muted red color, similar to the Porsche Bordeaux red color. This is not like the Corvette red interior, so I like that this continues to be classy and elegant. And you have some red on the dash as well. You have one-touch up and down windows for all 4 windows. Some luxury cars don't even come with that. And all of the useful safety tech features, they do come as standard here, like the blind spot monitoring and the rear cross traffic alert. Near the window switches and the center console, we do have some piano black plastic. That's a bit of a con, and it does show the fingerprints, the dust particles, etc. With the higher trim levels, you do get the wireless Apple CarPlay and the wireless Android Auto. And when you utilize the wireless CarPlay, you are able to touch the screen. But when you're in the regular Mazda infotainment, you have to use the rotary knob. Either way, I have no issues with it. This continues to be one of the most easiest infotainment systems. It's very non-distracting. And this top of the line 12 speaker Bose audio system, it does sound phenomenal for its class. But if you want it, you have to go with the premium models. So that is a bit of a shame, but this is a good, powerful system. So if you have the means and you want to splurge, you are getting a lot of car for your money. So I can understand this from all aspects. Like if you want to save money, go with the lower trim levels, the naturally aspirated engines. That makes sense because you're getting a high quality driving experience for not that much money. But at the same time, these luxury features, they do elevate your everyday experience. If you love your music, you're going to enjoy this Bose audio system. You're going to enjoy the turbo engine and just how effortless it feels out on the road. So whether you want to spend money or splurge, it's going to be up to you, your desires, and your budget. But we kind of know all of this at this point. What are some of the main cons here? Well, number one, it's going to be getting in and out of this vehicle. You know, I am 5'11". I'm not Shaq or anything, but even when I get in and out of this vehicle, I can kind of hit my head up against this roof here. So that's something to watch out for. The rear seats, it continues to be cramped and not very spacious. You know, once again, even at my height, 5'11", I do sit closer to the steering wheel than most people my size. And even still, sitting behind myself, it's not the best. Fortunately, Mazda has raised up these front seats, so you have a decent amount of toe room, so you can kind of slide your toes underneath the front seats here. That certainly helps, but vehicles like the Civic and even the Corolla offer a lot more rear legroom, as well as the Elantra and the Kia Forte as well. And another thing, this is a bit of a low slung vehicle, so if you're older or you have some knee problems, I don't know, if you just have issues getting in and out of low slung vehicles, then that's something else to consider with the Mazda 3. And of course, the trunk space, it's not exactly lavish, but it's not useless either. You can fold down the seats 60-40, but I love that Mazda continues to offer a spare tire in the back. You just lift up that little flap and you have your spare tire right there. That is brilliant, so you do not have to run flat tires or anything. But once again, at this point, I think everyone is very much familiar with the Mazda 3 and with its pros and its cons. So let's just go ahead and let's wrap up this review. Okay, concluding thoughts on the 2025 Mazda 3. Do I still recommend it? Absolutely. If you understand the pros and the cons and this can still work out for you and your lifestyle, then this is definitely something to put on your short list because it just drives phenomenal. No, it's not a hot hatchback, but it's truly like a luxury car for not that much money. But if you want a more practical Mazda, the CX-5 is definitely where it's at. You have a much larger trunk space and you have a lot more rear legroom as well. And the ergonomics of getting in and out, it's much better with the CX-5. But if you have like an emotional attachment to the Mazda 3, I totally understand that as well. It's incredible how this car has managed to feel fresh after all these years. Mazda does a pretty good job of creating these relatively timeless cars. So well done there. But as promised at the beginning of this video, here's how you can save 10% off the MSRP of not just the Mazda 3, but pretty much the entire lineup as well. You can reach out to a broker named AutoCompanion. He is one of the largest car brokers in the United States. He has partner dealerships in the Washington, D.C. area, and he is able to ship nationwide, but shipping is something you have to pay extra for. And you can get 10% off on these Mazda 3s, the CX-5s, the CX-90s. I mean, that's some substantial savings because that's before incentives. If you qualify for things like Mazda loyalty, you can get even more money off. But getting 10% off on a Mazda 3, I mean, this is a $38,000 fully loaded Turbo Premium Plus. You're going to get about $3,800. That definitely helps to justify this purchase. But more importantly, getting 10% off on like a sport model, naturally aspirated Mazda 3, that's really amazing because those are like $26,000, $27,000. So you're getting about $2,600, $2,700 off. And once again, that's before incentives. And AutoCompanion also has a free leasing calculator, which I will have linked in the description box below. This will show you the interest rate of a lease, the residual values, and once again, the incentives that you can get in your local zip code. So you can play around with those numbers and keep in mind, incentives, they always stack on top of the dealer discount. So if you want to negotiate on your own, there you go. You can utilize that tool. But if you want to work with AutoCompanion specifically, then he does charge a broker fee to access these deals. But if you sign up with my affiliate link in the description box, he will take some money off of that broker fee. Regardless, I just wanted to share all of these resources with you. If you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you again for watching this review. Take care and goodbye.